Okay, back with some more Valheim. I've reached a really solid point in the Elden Ring DLC where I just beat Mesmer. Mesmer's basically what should be the end of, if there would be a first Elden Ring DLC, that would be the end. So I know for a fact that they went in, because it was said in some interview, that they were like, oh yeah, we we wanted to make two DLCs, but we crunched them into one. It's like, okay, well that's a good first spot. There were some glaring issues. Uh, I know a major patch is in the works. It has to be, and yeah, I can wait for that and sort of do other things, mess around. What am I doing with the blueberries? But yeah, I'm just chilling, playing some Valheim. I've definitely got things to say about that Souls community. I'm usually one to defend Souls community before the DLC. It was all good. It was all sweet. There were some weird things, like there are a lot of PvE guide makers that were really bad and that are still bad. If you want examples of good ones with the current state of gear, go check out Titus Actual and his wife Emberborn. They are the best. They are the only ones worth looking at. Which is a damn shame. Because every other one is either just vastly incorrect, or they are carrying with themselves restrictions on their guides and on their builds and on their strategies that they are just not telling you. And so it's just a shit show either way you place it. Oh, my cat's meowing at me. I don't know why. So it was a bit concerning. I was like, oh, God, man, I don't know. I don't know about that one, right? You know? But in terms of just the watching community, I was like, this is fine. I remember some Diablo guy coming over to play Elden Ring, and he was bitching and moaning up a storm over what is like far less advice and pushback than what anybody would normally get, especially of a creator of his size with his viewers. Far, it was like 6 times less. Right, I roughly approximated 6 times less. Oh, I should go over to Swamp. 6 times less pushback and all that. Come on in, up. There's a little spot behind the sofa that acts like a little shaded tunnel. She can kind of sleep on the floor. Dusted up all the spots behind there, thankfully, but Butterbean really likes to be in a dark area that's also pretty cool and close to me. It's nice. It's very cute. But yeah, he was getting like 6 times less pushback than other people, and he was still lambasting people. I thought, like, it's like, okay, this is really normal. Like, for any game, even Valheim or whatever, people watching, this is like the most normal thing to me. What I see looks ordinary, looks fine, looks perfectly good, and so I was really confused. Like, what am I? Like, why are neutral people supposed to be upset at the Souls community? What toxicity is there? And then Shadow of the Erdtree dropped, and I was not aware of what was going on because I was having so much fun. And I was still having so much fun, right? I'm having a great time. There are definitely some issues, which I'll get to later, and I think a great deal of these are going to be fixed, hopefully. But there are definitely some also central lore problems. Ooh, 1-star Draugr Archer. Central lore problems as well. Man, I haven't done this in a while. And then there are also just some weird central gameplay design, which definitely can be altered, but is far less likely to be changed for the better. And considering this is probably the last piece of content or patches, like adding stuff that we're getting to Elden Ring, then this is a bit concerning. And I think the community should be concerned because if you look at the overall reviews for Elden Ring, they've stagnated at 71%, mostly positive for like a week. Which, from an outsider perspective, if I was going to play a Souls game and I wanted a top tier experience the best I could, and I looked at all the other ones with like, except, well, maybe except for Dark Souls 2, but like all the other ones with like overwhelmingly positive reviews, and this one has like a big giant DLC that's like 40% basically of the base of like the whole experience now, and it's like rated 7 out of 10 for a while. I'm like, you know what, maybe we'll try the other one. And so that's their big magnum opus so far, though. So that should be representative, and is representative of the best that they've done in quite a bit regards. So I'm a bit concerned, you know? I'm also a bit concerned that people went in and immediately the big creators called the cavalry as people were coming in, and they were saying, oh, these people, so many people, Elden Ring right now, I think the story was, oh, the Shadow of the Erdtree DLCs, it's mixed right now. It's got mixed reviews at 63%. Oh no, okay. People could just be out of their gourd, You look at, like, Mistlands reviews when they first came out, or, like, I'm sure, like, Base Ashlands and PTB as well. And it's like, okay, well, people don't know what the fuck they're talking about right now. And there's a balanced way to adapt to the game where we can go and learn good strategies and dominate and have a good time at a knife's edge, where the game is still threatening, the game is still thrilling, but with experience and knowledge and proper skill expression. We have gone through and had a grand old time with the new stuff. And if there are kinks around the edges that need to be balanced, then we can do that. If there are grains of truth to what people are saying, then, well, we can work with that. And the result from the big Souls creators, not even Souls creators, just big creators jumping on this fucking bandwagon, is not just like, okay, they probably don't know what they're talking about. No, we're gonna go in like the other direction. Like, oh, you guys think that the Souls is too hard? It's Souls. And it's like, bro, the DLC's been out for 2 days. You don't know anything either. You can't go one way or the other in direction. You just don't know. We don't know. So making a proper conclusion is pointless, because obviously it's not proper. Fooling ourselves one way or the other. Nice kill. Alright. But no, these guys were going out being like, no, I know it's balanced. I know it's fair. Like, basically shit like that. They weren't exactly saying that, but that's basically what they were doing. And so the Souls acolytes, I guess, were going out in drones and giving Shadow of the Erdtree the most mundane positive reviews I've ever seen. If I was biased towards the game but hadn't gotten it yet and was like maybe interested in checking the reviews, and I saw this mundane garbage, I would be uninformed. But when I looked at the specifics and people saying in the negative reviews, I've played Dark Souls 1, I played Demon Souls, I played Dark Souls 2, I've played all of them, I played Sekiro, and this specific thing is my issue. I'd be more inclined to hesitate or wait for a sale. And obviously that's going to affect the profit margin, that's going to affect how Bandai Namco and Kadokawa, their parent company, look, and all the investors, how they invest into the game. If the next version of this game gets put off because the level of difficulty has changed, or the style of difficulty has changed, and the profits go down even like 40% from Elden Ring instead of going up, there might not be another large-scale Souls game, guys. Okay? You gotta look at what Square Enix did with Final Fantasy 16 and see the writing on the walls where, okay, your big popular series, your big popular medium can go to shit. Even if it's been proven itself well otherwise, it can go to shit, okay? I've seen this with Yu-Gi-Oh! We've had a good stretch in that card game from like 2010 to 2000, like, I want to say like 14 or early 2015 too. We've had a good stretch, okay? We had a great stretch with some amazing formats, alright? Shit happens, okay? There are some ass sprinkled within. That was the writing on the wall, and I should have seen that. Especially with 2012. Just arbitrarily hit Synchro Strategies. Fucking ridiculous, okay? Anyway. You look at what has become of that game, and it's like, okay, well, they are very, very arbitrarily doing well. Alright. Do we want to just have basically just like a weird cult following? Is that what we want as Souls gamers? To be the driving force, the success of the industry? Fuck no. Fuck no. People are just gonna play Souls-likes if that's the case. Fuck that. You know, get me on that Liza P train, right? Like, that's ridiculous. Because the quality of the games are nowhere near guaranteed if we have that. That's absolutely absurd. And looking forward, you look at what people are actually complaining about, and it's like, oh. It's just like mostly people saying the performance is bad, which it is. And then a lot of people also saying that this is just a different style of difficulty that they just don't prefer. And they are completely open and valid to that opinion. And to call out the cavalry as giant creators for people putting out valid complaints or valid opinions, personal opinions, is fucking toxic. It's fucking toxic behavior from these giant creators. I would have expected better, but I know better. So, I know that they're capable of this bullshit. I've seen it before, and we'll see it again. But B, the rating only went up 9% from 63 to 71, and then it stagnated at 71. Okay, let's assume that there are biases of those who have bought the game and have reviewed the DLC, bought the DLC, reviewed the DLC, they have all of it. Okay, let's say that there are equally positive and negative biases, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense. And clearly there's going to be more positive biases. Let's say that everything is equal, just for, you know, just for convenience sake. Okay? Let's grab that A-bomb trophy. We're looking at when the biases of the initial honeymoon period wear off, either positive or negative, okay? Now that the reviews have stagnated, okay? They've held at a level. We can interpolate from that. We can understand. Alright? The current volume could be changing in a very positive way or a very negative way. But it's not. It has equal additions of positive and negative reviews. Which means Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree has an effective appreciation rate right now of 50 fucking percent. Okay? A 5 out of 10. Holy shit. And you know it's less than that. Because there are more positive biases towards it than there are negative biases out of those who buy both the base game and the DLC. And at that point, you know, we've got to shut the fuck up, okay? And we've got to listen to maybe what these guys are fucking talking about. We can't just spam get good anymore, because we are risking there being in 5 years' time some sort of press conference where there are no more From Software Souls-likes anymore, okay? That's what we're risking here. All right, we're risking everything becoming so different to the point where everything is Dark Souls 2. Maybe. Like, maybe that's the new fan base for it, where it's just everything is changed and become that different, totally different style, where it just looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it, but it plays in a different style. It feels like it. The mechanics, there might be a lot of really good ideas still left, but fundamentally, it's just a different gameplay experience. Now, do I want that to happen? No. Fucking no. So, I look at the current state, and I'm like, okay, well, I already got spoiled on big lore things, okay? I did. Sad. I was making so many, like, lore comments and, like, getting interested in it and, like, being confused, but also keeping an open mind, and boom. Horrible lore spoilers. Not from the people who spoiled it. I actually don't care that they... I don't mind. The reason why I don't mind is because the implications, the lore of the game, from the base game into now this, is terrible. I don't like it now. Okay? It was my most interested Souls game in terms of lore, in terms of narrative, and now I couldn't give less of a shit about it. And so I checked, I was like, okay, well, the majority of my enjoyment from this game, from this experience, I already have 1,200 hours in it. The majority of my enjoyment from that experience is going to be from build experimentation. It's going to be from messing around, having a grand old time. Let's kill these Sirlings. Grab these mats. Why not? And it's going to be from playtesting patches when they come out and how they buff certain things and how they make a lot of strategies viable. My favorite weapon in the game came from patch 1.10. And without playtesting a lot of the shit, I wouldn't be nowhere near as good as I am at just playing a balanced yet dominating gameplay experience with my build and all the variety of setups that the build can have. It would be nowhere near as fun. Let's go get the pickaxe. And so I look at this and I'm like, I would be having maybe half as much fun as I was having if I was just some random guy who didn't pay attention to the patches, who wasn't aware of all the mechanics and the strongest things and the more balanced things that you could do to have as much fun as I could. I would be having nowhere near as much fun with this game. Nowhere near as much. And so now we get back into sandwich theory. You guys remember that from my previous series, previous rants. People who have less fun in general with a medium, with a subject, their opinions, their purely subjective opinions, they carry less water. They just have less value. Period. It's, it's like, oh, well, you should listen to me, I care less about it. What? Nobody says that. Obviously, that doesn't make any fucking sense, alright? No, I'm really invested in it, I know the ins and outs of it, so you should pay attention to me. Once you get it broken down like that, you understand sandwich theory at a base level, okay? Does this person appreciate the whole sandwich at a good level, or do they appreciate just one ingredient and they're biased towards that, and they only engage in that? Now you understand sandwich theory at a concise, understandable level. And so a lot of these people who are basically being weird cult-like drones for a company that doesn't give a fuck about them, they're going out and, doing what? Doing what? Putting out opinions that aren't worth a damn? Okay, cool, great. Fantastic. What? Okay. Who cares at that point? What the fuck? So it's a really weird dynamic, okay? A lot of people coming out And there's actually not that many of them. And yet their opinions are oftentimes very worthless. Very worthless, which is so weird to me. That's so weird. Let's go get, what do we need? Ancient bark and leather. Pardon me, I haven't gotten used to these things in a while. We have some quality 3 stuff, some quality 2 stuff. Let's go upgrade this. We've got it. We've got it maxed. Well, quote unquote maxed for now. That's excellent. That's absolutely wonderful. But yeah, like even though they are probably way too early to be taken seriously one way or the other, even though they are super biased and also super limited in appreciation, even though we have like 3 or 4 ways that we can see how the express rapid opinions of people often don't matter in this situation, and often these situations like this, there are still so little of them that it only jumped up 9% and they stagnated. It's like, okay. What a giant fucking PR failure by this weird section of the fan base. What did you want to look like? You were fucking pathetic because you succeeded. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Community is weirdly toxically positive on that regard. Super strange. Toxic positivity. I mean, this just looks like bot behavior. It doesn't look human in like any regard. But it's definitely being pushed by humans. Humans who will get a decent amount of enjoyment. They'll play maybe like a run or 2 at the moment where they can cash in and then say, I loved it, 10 out of 10 experience. And they don't know enough to understand the actual beauty nor the actual flaws of the medium. Okay? Think of it with Valheim. I didn't know a lot of good strategies, good things, until 600 hours in. That's when I first started to call myself good at the game. That's when I knew finally about the Huntsman bow. But I still didn't know certain strategies. I still didn't have full appreciation for the game. I still didn't have full appreciation for what was even initially in base Valheim at early access launch. That's how long it took me. It took me a long time. And it's going to take people a long time. Unless they understand from videos or guides. From in between maybe a first run and a second run. Like, oh shit. There are these wonderful, cool strategies and things that we could do that increase the level of fun to this degree or that degree. Or maybe it's just something that I can say, oh, that's neat. That's really cool. I like that. Maybe that's it. And that gets your enjoyment out of it. And then it's like, okay, well, I'll enjoy that. I'll definitely go back eventually. I've got other things to play, other things to do. But when I go back, then I'll... Sorry, I need to drink some water. Then I'll enjoy that. Or I'll play accordingly, such that I still appreciate the knowledge. And yet we don't see that with a lot of very rapid gamers in terms of any game, really. If you're just going to play it and rush it, you know, if you're just going to play a game for playing a game's sake, instead of actually enjoying the aspects present, the art present in the game itself. It's like, okay, that's another devaluer. in terms of opinion. It's like, the opinion doesn't matter, even from a developer standpoint. It doesn't matter that much. Okay? Who is really enjoying the stuff? Not the people who play 2 weeks and then put it down forever. Alright? Not the people who play 2 weeks and then never engage with any of the stuff in the patches and then are confused. They're like, oh, why are things different? Yeah, game got patched, bozo. Holy shit. Yeah, there's patches going up all the way to 1.10. My favorite weapon became the way it is because of patch 1.10 that happened last summer. A whole year, over a year after the game first came out. So, because I was very invested, because I was very interested, because I was super interested in testing the actual content, the actual new stuff, the changes that came with the game. That's why I have the most enjoyment that I do. And it's definitely an argument that a lot of people just don't carry as informed of takes about the game when they're messing around, when they're talking about the DLC that I do. And it's not limited to me. I'm just some fucking guy. There are tons of people who also may not even be talking about the DLC or just messing around, or just doing live, but there are tons of people who also have the same amount of base knowledge about the game that I do. I am not unique. I am not some paragon of sage wisdom when it comes to this fucking game, or any fucking game, okay? As much as it'd be cool, that's just not the truth. And I'm glad it's not the truth, because I like the learning process. I've made this channel, I've tried to put out videos that people haven't seen before, with real good quality game knowledge and strats that people haven't seen before, because I like that process myself. And I've liked it ever since I was young. And seeing people just not engage with this and try to act like they have informed opinions on the fucking Elden Ring DLC, no, the fuck you do not. No, the fuck they don't. And so, I look at this and we can't go one way, we can't go the other way. Except for very basic things. Performance, yes. Boss camera problems, they still exist. Grab boxes being as ridiculous as they are, why? Why are they? Like, that's old hat. Why does it still exist? That's a fucking issue, and they haven't fixed it since the base game. They're still repeating a bunch of enemies and even bosses from the base game. Why? I understand, oh, they also did that in the base game. Oh, well, they got millions upon bajillions of dollars. They can still improve upon this. What's going on? Okay? Valheim, the devs there, they get kind of a pass. Because, oh, small team, yeah. Right? We can't say the same thing for fucking From Software. No. No, we can't. So, they have no excuse. And people aren't giving them an excuse. They're saying get good. But then a lot of people are also saying use all the strategies available at your disposal. But if you look at Titus Actual and Emberborn, you know that using all the strategies at your disposal involves in a one-shot of the boss with an extensive buff routine. And the game feels like a different game at that point. And some people really enjoy that. There's a reason why they have so much support. It's not just for the base information or entertainment. A lot of people genuinely like to be one-shotting these bosses. If any of you are big Souls fans for YouTube for a long time, you might know of a creator called Ray Dimitri. Okay, this guy's been working on extremely overpowered, like New Game Plus, max level setups to try to one-shot enemies and bosses in Dark Souls for a long time, years and years, over a decade at this point. And so I see that and I'm just like, okay, this has existed. We know that there are strategies that are too strong to have the standard Souls formula be the same. And so there are self-imposed restrictions, and we know that. There are a lot of people who will say the difficulty modes are inside the base game, and that you can pick and choose how hard you want it to be based off of the gear that you use. And the problem is, the strategies and setups in Elden Ring are so strong that you're one-shotting every fucking boss with the right strategy. And at that point, it's like, that should take you a handful of tries, at most, with the most strategies, to one-shot the boss. And you see that, and it's like, okay, well, the game is just not particularly balanced, is it? The game just ain't balanced in that case. It's like, yep, it ain't. But we know this, and we know which restrictions to have, and the actual fundamental Souls gameplay is really fun. If you know which restrictions to use, and then you can understand which strategies to use, which buffs to have, so that you can have a dominating yet knife's edge experience where, oh, you could still get destroyed if you don't know what you're doing, but because you have a good build and a good strategy and good skill, all these three things coming together, now we're having a pinnacle of Souls gameplay experience. Now we're having the top tier experience. And what are a lot of people doing when it comes to these DLC bosses now that they're on a different level of difficulty? A lot of people who praise the game, that defend the game and the DLC on these bosses, they are saying, well, it's time to use the tools at your disposal to have a fair time. If you think using Mimic Tier, as somebody who has gone through and experienced the base game at least once, maybe even multiple times, if you think summoning at the bare minimum a plus 10 Mimic Tier is going to make for a fair fight between you and the boss, I have to break this to you. You are fucking terrible at Elden Ring. You could not be. It is difficult for me to imagine somebody who has gone through the full game and still would have a quote-unquote fair and balanced fun experience over multiple attempts, really getting to know the boss patterns, really using good skill, good strategy, and good boss knowledge, good game knowledge on a good build, using the tools at your disposal like Mimic Tier. How? That's hard to imagine. That's really hard to imagine. I mean, this is like playing the game just to play it. Because how else do you maintain a level of skill that low? How? It's fucking incomprehensible to me. That's terrible. That's horrible. You'd be beating these bosses like 1 to 3 times. When I had my setup right, with all of my Elden Ring restrictions that I play with, I would just alter my setup very slightly. Not my build, my current equip setup. I would go, okay, well, maybe I have to use like this talisman and this. Usually, I was beating these bosses within like 5 tries from there. With all the restrictions with my DLC stuff. And there are still camera issues. There are still grab box issues. You know, these things still exist. There are still performance issues. Just a matter of fact. And so we look at this not being fixed. People have a right to complain. But also, I see the people pushing back on those who do have a right to complain and that are complaining. And sometimes they're being very valid. And what do I see? I see people saying basically a giant self-report. Shit, I'm so bad at the game. Why don't you guys step it up, bro, and be as bad as I am? Excuse me? Pardon? You mind repeating that to me? Step up and be as bad? Shit, what? What is that? It's like, you want us to take the limits off when we've been restricting ourselves all this time? Do you think that dominating these bosses in a faster time than it would take to do a blind run of Millennia would be satisfying to us? Do you think that that would be an enjoying and engaging fun time for us? Do you think that shredding every boss in 1 to 3 attempts would be a good idea? Do you think that maybe taking it to its natural extreme and getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 14, 50. Sorry, I had to count my turnips. Do you think getting rid of all of our restrictions for real and going on the one-shot train, would that be really enjoyable? Would it? Let's plant all these carrot seeds. Because that doesn't sound like the same game. That doesn't sound like the same type of enjoyment that we've been playing. And I think that's an argument that I've seen a lot of people make negative reviews about Shadow of the Erdtree. Is that it doesn't feel like the same game that we've been experiencing in the base game. This doesn't feel like the same level of difficulty that people have been experiencing through all these times. And me personally, having beaten Mesmer with all my restrictions, took me 46 tries. And honestly, there are some things that I would change about him, even in the balanced regard. I would change some things about him. He does just sweep, which will knock you down, and then he follows that up with a thrust. A horizontal thrust that always misses you if you get hit by the sweep. And I mean, it's just like, that's stupid from Mesmer's perspective. Because he has a lot of attacks. He has an alley-oop, where he goes up, and then he comes down with a vertical down spike of his spear, of his great spear. And he also has a jump up and then spear throw down, which could actually hit you and look like a cool impaling kill if he actually knocked you down with a sweep. And so why doesn't he always follow up the sweep with either an alley-oop or the spear throw? Why not? I don't understand. That seems stupid from the boss to me. And yeah, that's just a problem. That's just a weird immersive breaking issue. But also, just game-wise, the spear toss is incredibly punishing. Or you can punish that spear throw incredibly well if you know what's going on. So even if you do get hit the first time, you have a moment, if you know that the spear throw is coming, where you can roll up, get out of the way, take your sippy. Or punish him even with a fully charged colossal sword heavy attack. Fully charged, because that's what I do. That's what I do. I love running the Ruin's Greatsword. Being able to punish him with that was amazing. Amazing. So satisfying. I love that. Like, some of these attacks, being able to punish off like certain guaranteed attacks with fully charged Ruin's Greatsword R2s, fucking satisfying. God, Mesmer was really fun. And, I go through this experience, I'm having a great time, but I still understand that there are issues that can be fixed, that can be patched. Wouldn't we want our game to be more interesting, more skill expressive, more fun in this regard? Wouldn't we want our grabs to be more balanced so that we're not being teleported from his like lanky ass elbow to his fucking hand? I think that would be good. Also, why is his phase 1 grab the same as the phase 2 grab? Why does the phase 1 grab deal so much damage and the phase 2 grab deals the same damage? That doesn't make any sense. Okay? Lower the phase 1 grab hitbox, grab box, make it more manageable. Make the phase 2 have a solid grab with the snake bite, and then he could impale you, and that would deal phase 1 levels of damage, as it is now, but in phase 2. And that way we could have a more extravagant animation for who is Mesmer the what? Mesmer the Impaler. Okay? If we have multiple different impaling grabs, then, it should make sense. Should make sense. I like it. And yet we don't have that. That's weird. That's kind of strange. Very strange. Of course, you'd have to make the snake grab balanced too. You'd have to make that good. Right now, the most decent grab that we have, I think, is Bale's. Right now, the Bale grab is really solid. Let's make it tasty, actually. It's super dodgeable. You can even dodge it back. Bale and the camera is still fucked up, man. That camera is still fucked up. But he's fun. He is fun. There are moments where if he goes into phase 2 at the wrong spot, he'll do his guaranteed circling attack with all the orbs coming after you. I need to drink some water. Hang on. There's a spot where he can kind of disappear over the cliffside, and his model goes behind it, and then it forces a lock off. The lock on just fucking drops. And it's like, well, that's fucked up. Like, I don't even know if that's been properly tested. And so some of these issues are so small, so simple, so conceptual in nature, where I'm like, are we testing like early access for this? Do we need to wait for a patch? And thus, we have gone full circle with what I have talked about today. I am waiting for a patch. We got a hotfix. People were complaining about the hotfix for nerfing certain things. Most of these were obvious bugs if you actually knew about the balance of the game, especially with rolling sparks being fixed. Holy shit. And so now, all of these players pretending like they're good, saying, oh, get good, at people rightfully complaining. Okay? All these players saying, get good. Here, I have something new for you guys. A, you're not good. But B, you need to wake up. Wake up. Wake up to the fact that you've been crutching on extremely powerful shit that shouldn't belong in this game. Wake up to the fact that these bosses have legitimate old problems that have resurfaced, that is unacceptable for them to resurface in a game which has sold this many copies, with studio with this much pedigree and this many resources, this big, this accomplished of a dev team. That is unacceptable for us to still have bad lock-on issues, for us to still have bad problems with the camera, for us to have... Here's the biggest thing, which I haven't mentioned yet, which I've mentioned in my what they need to fix in the DLC video. Haha, they wouldn't listen to me. Of course they wouldn't listen to me. Who the fuck am I, right? They wouldn't listen to some random guy, right? Yeah, no. But if they had some internal knowledge about balancing their fucking game, they would have never had to listen to me in the first place. Crazy how that works. Anyway. Bad boss patterns. The patterns are way too loose right now. Not strict enough. We don't see too many attacks out of RNG. And so there are certain runs where the bosses will softball you out of RNG. And then there are other runs where the boss will absolutely pound you out of RNG. And sometimes the bosses will have a RNG fiesta where they won't show you a bunch of moves out of RNG. And then on a later run, you'll get really bad RNG where they'll show you all of the moves that they haven't shown you. It's like, well, I was doing very well against what I thought was the boss's moves, and then we had a move pulled out of the ass. Now we're doing something a little bit strange. Now the RNG is super focused if you actually pay attention to what the bosses are doing. And if you think that if you've killed a boss while it's softballing you RNG-wise, if you think that you're good when you've been being RNG softballed, nope. You've gotten lucky. And you need to wake up to the fact that there are certain boss runs where you can just get super lucky. And I've seen this. I've seen people respond to people who are struggling. I've seen people say this as motivational text in a comment on Instagram or YouTube comment or what have you. A bunch of people have been saying the boss needs to get lucky every time. You need to get lucky one time. Oh, so you guys just haven't been getting good then. Just bang your head against the wall and suffer. Play those fucking suffering slot machines. Roll them slots. Keep cranking that fucking hammer, you idiot. Until you have gotten 3 sevens. How the fuck is that supposed to be a challenging but fair boss design? How is that supposed to be satisfying from somebody who has gone through the previous games and values the congregation of skill, knowledge, understanding of boss patterns, and build creation? How the fuck are those supposed to work around what is essentially getting towards a weird, strange action slot machine? And they are just moving more and more in that direction. They have not fixed that issue. When we see people wake up to the fact that there is more RNG in these Souls games than they would like, the next Souls games just aren't going to do that well in terms of business. And if they go down a significant amount enough, if they legitimately lose investors, that might be the last giant Souls game that we get at that stage ever from Software. And the official Souls games might just be a distant memory someday in terms of the Souls-like genre. It might just be some bit of history that we say, instead of being an all-time classic. No, this one made by this studio in New Zealand or South Korea or even the US or Canada, I don't know, Sweden. Who knows? One of these other studios might just carry the mantle, hold the torch, be the shield bearer of the new generation. Because if they don't fucking wake up and fix this shit, not in terms of damage, not in terms of general difficulty, but in terms of just jank, style, immersion, old technical difficulties like camera, in terms of these things. And personally, if you want my personal take, if they don't balance their fucking game in terms of utterly gutting the tankiness of spirit summons, making you actually have to rotate aggro between yourself and your summons, like a good fucking game with summons would do, like Champions Return to Arms, a game from 2004, shit like that. A game that would absolutely gut the extremely powerful one-shot tools and the shredders that we have that remove your interaction between the actual incredible stance system that we have right now and just delete bosses in 10 seconds. After 2 rounds of restrictions have already been applied. If you don't get rid of those, then we're on a slow course for death, as people see these as legitimate options that haven't been patched out, haven't been touched in any sort of way. People are going to change the direction of the central design of these games to the point where they become unrecognizable by the old school fans. And at that point, you've lost a plot. Quite literally. It's over. And so things need to change. Things need to wake up. Patches need to happen. The general difficulty, guys, again, I'm chilling with it. It's not about the level of the difficulty. It's about the specific problems that plague this game enough to give it currently, when you look at all the perspectives and look through all the bias, currently stagnating at an even, positive and negative, okay? Do we want our fucking Souls games for now on to be rated 50%, 5 out of 10? Do you think that that is a maintainable course of action in terms of central design? No. I'll answer that for you. Anyway, giant fucking rant today. That was the whole episode. I completed the route set. I hope you like that. Made some progress coal-wise. I love that. Really convenient portal spot for Surtlings and all of that. Could I go kill the Elder? Yes, I could. But I kind of want to go back into the plains, you know? Hold on. Do I have a plains portal? View. View? I haven't been on this world in a hot minute. It's been a while. View. The view! Yes, not currently very good right now, but yes. I need to get a plains farm set up. That'll be next episode. Thank you guys for watching this one. I really hope you understand where I'm coming from. Understand the points where I'm coming from. You understand there's a lot of bullshit going around. And that, yeah, there are just going to be a lot of stupid people online. And yeah, there are going to be a lot of really good things that you think could never go bad, and then they do. And we need to try to prevent that with our favorite stuff as much as possible. It is what it is. And so, with that being said, you understand all of my criticisms from the community perspective and the game perspective. They come from a place of deep appreciation. Because I wouldn't be 1,200 hours deep into Elden Ring without it. And I hope you understand also some of the Valheim parallels and how this can be applied in the future of this game as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys some other time. Bye!